And hi, we're here at Cinema Salem in Salem, Massachusetts, where we are attending the 7th annual Cinema Salem Student Documentary Film Competition. And in a few minutes, we'll be going into the theater to watch the airing of the winners of the competition. And afterwards, we're going to invite them here to the cafe and speak with them about their productions and find out what motivated them and what was behind their expression in these videos. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
My name is Meredith Carpenter. I'm from Wellesley, Massachusetts. I started CrossFit in 2013 and did my first workout and just thought it was something that I'd really enjoy. So when I came back, I found a CrossFit box around here that I really liked and did a couple workouts and was just hooked and have been doing it ever since. I got my CrossFit Level 1 certification less than 6 months into doing CrossFit so that I could coach and really just learn more about the sport and about everything that it entailed. I've trained out of a couple of boxes right now. I train out of a box in New Hampshire called CrossFit Free. Awesome group of people. I went up there because it's a really competitive environment, but a supportive competitive environment where I could really try to grow as an athlete, and just met some awesome people and some people that I really consider family in the CrossFit world. So it's a little bit of a haul to get up there, but I still like, to get up there, and the community aspect of it is what appeals to me about CrossFit in a lot of ways, so it's worth making that drive up there. People that do CrossFit, it becomes their whole lives. Like, if you like CrossFit, it's more than just a workout. You don't go to the gym for an hour a day and call it. You think about your workout before you go there. You think about your workout after you leave. You build it into your schedule. You build it into your eating habits. A lot of the principles that make you good as an athlete in CrossFit make you a really awesome person, because it's about being able to push yourself when you're uncomfortable, doing things that you're not necessarily that good at, but working on them really hard so you get better at them. It's not, at the end of the day, who's lifting the most weight and who's finishing the workout in the fastest amount of time, or the tangible numbers. That's great and that's awesome, I think, for self-motivation, but the community really comes into play when you're all kind of suffering through this trial and you're doing it together, and at the end, when you're all lying on the floor sweating and tired and sore, you get to go through that experience together. Working out and just being physically active is extremely rewarding for me. If I'm stressed, or if I am tired, or if I'm sick, or if I'm, even if I'm happy, like, it doesn't matter what mood you're in. If I go to the gym, I am really happy. It makes everything better. And that, whether it's CrossFit, or it's going out and going for a run, or going for a hike, anytime I can get out and be active is an awesome thing. If I could give one piece of advice to anybody, young, old, whoever it is, it would be that you are physically capable of more than you could ever imagine. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much we can accomplish. And just being confident in yourself and giving yourself that chance to succeed and to grow and to be uncomfortable for a little while and to fail but to keep going. We are able to do so much physically, mentally, emotionally. We're capable of a great deal that a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for. So let yourself be great.
And that was great, and the story of a CrossFit trainer. And I am here with
Joy Lee.
and
Joey La.
and you are from Milton Academy, is that correct? And now, how did you meet? What was the lady's name who starred in this? The CrossFit.
Meredith Carpenter.
Meredith Carpenter. Okay. And now, how did you meet Meredith?
She was actually a new faculty member at our school. And we were just interested in her story because she does a variety of things, not just CrossFit, but she's also a teacher, and she hikes and she runs and she does everything that you can possibly imagine fitness-wise.
Does a lot of stuff. Now, when you met her, did you know that she did these things, or did this come as a surprise to you?
Well, we knew a bit of background from her because she was going to teach biology here as well.
Okay.
So we read up about her and we knew some background information.
Mm-hmm. And what year are you?
I'm a junior.
And you, Joy?
Same.
Juniors. Okay. And how long did it take you to complete this production?
Well, we did it in a week.
Uh huh. And did you have to do any hard physical training to keep up with her, or just aim the cameras as she did all the work?
The gym was all right. The hikes, we went on a few hikes that weren't actually filmed, but just for social wise, and it was quite tough fitness. Mm-hmm. CrossFit is quite serious.
Yeah. Now, does Milton Academy have some formal media courses that students can take?
Yeah, we have documentary filmmaking and a filmmaking course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have taken these courses?
I've taken filmmaking, and additionally we have advanced courses, advanced documentary and filmmaking.
Okay, great. And are either of you interested in continuing with filmmaking or media as a career, perhaps after school?
I'm interested in a lot of graphic design and communications.
Mm-hmm. And Joey?
Possibly.
All right. Well, Joy and Joey, thank you very much for chatting with us and sharing your video great with us. Thank you.
High school can be the best and worst 4 years of a person's life, especially that of an adolescent. What was once a system to prepare students for future success has become a competitive battleground, pushing kids to be unrealistically perfect in order to get into a good college. Talk to any high schooler and they'll tell you about the heavy pressures of education. Teens find themselves struggling through each semester in an attempt to create the most attractive transcripts. In some areas of the country, 1 in 5 teens report being clinically depressed due to stress and overexertion. Naturally, students find shortcuts and ways to get themselves ahead of the school system, and in this way, they are cheating. While many students have various reasons to be dishonest about academics, they are doing so predominantly in spite of the corrupt learning environment schools have developed. Nevertheless, it is becoming a problem. More and more students around the country cheat as a natural process to complete schoolwork. Cheating itself is a virus that can't be contained, creating an epidemic.
I do it for my humanities classes, not my math and science classes because those are hard to cheat in. History is an everyday kind of thing. English, I work with a lot of people that we shouldn't be working with. Answers online, packets. Yeah.
The traditional methods of cheating, looking at other kids' tests, copying homework from friends, finding answer keys on teachers' desks, haven't been forgotten, but are quickly evolving. Students in the 21st century keep cell phones on their person at all times, opening up both pathways of learning opportunities and roads of academic fraud.
Pretty common to cut corners because a lot of us have jobs. So one person might send the answers around, we nominate a person to do all the work, and then they get the free pass next time. So it's a big collaborative group thing.
Kids have formed new ways to cheat through technology. With group work, students create group text messages to split up large assignments and copy off one another. Each student is responsible for undeniably less work, while ultimately resulting in completing assignments. For an overworked student, it seems like a win-win. Kids are also able to secretly use phones during tests to not only look up certain answers, but copy off test answer keys identical to the exams in front of them. The internet has made teaching resources available to anyone with an electronic device, further tempting kids to fall into cheating patterns and unknowingly contract the disease. Social media is also beginning to house some of the most crafty and sly methods of cheating. Any teen could be browsing social media websites such as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to find posts describing how to hide cheating from teachers during class. Some of these methods include writing notes on a water bottle label and crafting a pencil capable of holding notes. These types of cheating methods are nonchalantly becoming part of teenage culture, with no serious measures being taken to prevent them.
Obviously in classes, I don't allow cell phones out in classes because there can be some texting back and forth, pictures can be taken. So I think that's a proactive measure. Reading the details of the work, and if you see something, getting to know the student's writing style, and what they've offered to you for the entire year, and kind of seeing things that aren't consistent with what you've seen in the class. Obviously there's student-to-student cheating, but students can also plagiarize from online material. So it's just being, putting in keywords into a search engine. I know there's some programs as well that you can, run papers through to see their authenticity. So just using those measures.
Plagiarism in some areas is a criminal offense, as it constitutes the infringement of another author's work. Even so, 1/3 of high school students have admitted to plagiarizing from the internet. Many students are still fairly aware of these laws, and so they cheat in less severe ways, justifying themselves by not breaking the law.
If you're cheating, if you're not completing your own work, if you're not studying to be prepared for a test, if you're not keeping up with long-term assignments and you're finding a quick way to accomplish the task and just essentially check it off the list by using other people's work, whether it's online, like I said, or using other kids' work and turning it into your own work, it's all in the scholastic dishonesty. It's not your original work. Are there consequences? Yeah, there are consequences, because the reality is, for our college-bound kids, if they pull these stunts in college, the consequences are going to be much more severe than a long detention.
This is how the modern high schooler is now preparing for their future. In many ways, kids cheat themselves and the school system. This leaves us wondering how the world is going to look like in the coming generations. What kind of standards are being set for the future? These trends of failing integrity leave schools, students, and society bereft of character. But more importantly, who is really being cheated?
And that was Cheated. And that was done by these two students. And give us your name.
Mira Saba.
And?
Austin Texero.
And you are from what school?
Durfee High School.
Durfee High School. And does Durfee High School have a regular media curriculum where you can take classes in media?
Yeah, we're in a class called Fred TV, which is like our local TV station, which stands for Fall River Educational Television. So we take that every day, like we're in class every day.
Okay. And you've taken that course as well?
Yes, I have taken that.
Okay. And what year are you?
I'm a junior.
And?
I'm a junior.
You're both juniors. So what gave you the idea of doing a show on cheating in high school?
Well, we wanted to do like a documentary on something like underground to like shed light on something that nobody really like learned about. And so we just like, it took us a long time to actually like figure it out until we realized like we were in a school, we had a lot of friends that like, we had resources that could get us like, I don't know, we found the topic to be like really interesting, and it was all around us, but we never really like focused on it as much. So.
Mm-hmm. And did you have trouble getting students to talk to you about this subject?
We had a little bit of trouble, but we also knew people at the same time. As long as we could, conceal their identity, they're okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
I noticed that you did have one student that you had that you did the silhouette and the disguised voice, and that was because she didn't want to be recognized on camera. And do you think that there's a big prevalence of cheating at your school or in high schools in general?
I do personally, because it's not really taken as seriously like cheating when you learn in like 4th or 5th grade. It's copying like word for word from the internet, and nobody really does that anymore because like the cheating is like evolved into something like really sophisticated and almost unnoticed. So yeah, I see it like everywhere now.
And how about you? Do students openly talk about cheating and how they're going to do it, or is it kind of underground and you kind of figure it out where it's going on?
Students typically do talk about it, but it's not like straight out in the open. It's mostly just like text messaging, group messaging on their phones. So, I mean, it's not really a very public thing, and teachers don't really like know about it as much, so they try to keep it concealed, but yeah.
Well, I want to congratulate you on a job well done for bringing out a topic that's prevalent and important. Do students think about the ramifications of what cheating is and what it'll do in their future?
Not really, because in high school, kids are only focused about the next report card, the next semester, and ultimately graduating. And that's all that requires for graduation is just an A on a report card. So that's all they're really thinking about at the time.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you. So this was Austin and Mira, and thank you for your video on cheating. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have missed out on multiple opportunities with friends just because I was too afraid to. But on the overall scale, it's not the worst thing. It's something that I'm able to own, and I could say it's part of me. I'm not ashamed to say I have it. That's why I'm doing this video. I'm not ashamed that it's part of me. It's who I am, you know. That's how it works. My name is Jacob Metzger. I'm 16 and I'm a junior in high school. OCD stands for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. It consists of two parts of having an obsession and a compulsion, and usually the obsession is a fear of some sort. A lot of people have one of germs, and the compulsion tends to be something like hand sanitizing often. The major tendency I have is washing my hands. I do it on average, I'd have to say about 2 to 3 times an hour. And I also always have hand sanitizer with me at all times. I first started noticing tendencies around the end of my freshman year of high school. All of a sudden I'd realize I'm very stressed, and I'd go just to wash my hands or take a shower, and I just felt clean and refreshed, and I felt better. And then all of a sudden after time I noticed I'd start breaking off and becoming its own set of stress. At school, it affects it constantly, I'd say. It affects it everywhere constantly, but at school, I don't think the janitors here clean each individual locker, so germs constantly get to it, and it's constant things like that, opening the door to get in class. Like, I've been late to class multiple times just because I didn't want to, open the door and go into the class, and now I'm sitting outside waiting for someone just to come save me. At home, I'm able to open any doors there usually. Home is like my comfort zone. I know what actually is happening. I know what's really germy, what's not. I know all those things. So home usually doesn't cause as much stress for me. I explain OCD first. Usually when I explain to people, they always say, oh, I kind of have that too. And then first I have to explain that neat freak doesn't mean OCD. And I try to explain it almost like a bully. If you have a bully and he goes up to 2 kids and he asks one for his lunch money, and one says, fine, here you go, and then the other one says no and fights back, the next day when the bully goes up to it, he's gonna choose to go to the kid that gave him the money instantly. And it's kind of like that. It's like the more I give in, it's like the OCD's the bully, and the more I give in, the worse it will get over time. Actually, if you look at my room, it's quite a mess. And that actually goes all to the germ thing, actually, because I don't like it because it's on the ground, and I will not pick it up simply because it's on the ground. This summer, when I went to Europe, that was very hard. Anyone on that trip can tell you I had hand sanitizer on me at all times. There was just things that I missed out on, that I did and I didn't get to enjoy simply because I was so afraid the whole time. And overall, it was it was fun, but I will admit there were times that I wish that it just wasn't there. There's someone who influenced me to, you know, express this and don't be ashamed of it is my sister. She just told me, you know, it's who you are, it's part of you, and there's this negative stigma towards mental illness all over, as I've said, and we just have to keep bringing it up, and it's because people don't know what to do. It's not that they're not going to help you, it's that they just don't know what to do. Are you afraid of something like heights, clowns, whatever? And a lot of people say heights or clowns or whatever the case may be, and I'll ask them, all right, so if it's heights, go climb Mount Everest right now, go do it. And they're like, no, it's really high up. So I'm like, why can't you just change your mind? OCD is not something you are, it's something you have. OCD is when it starts taking up your day. It's not, you know, oh, I have to have everything in line, color-coded. You do that once and it's already color-coded. It's OCD is having to redo it constantly for hours on end and missing time with friends, missing time with family. And OCD isn't a happy thing. It doesn't have a happy ending. It gets in the way. It interferes with your life, but it doesn't define who you are as a person. OCD, it's part of me, but it's not all of me.
And that was Can't Touch This. And I am with Jacob Metzger, correct?
Yes.
And Jacob, when did you first have a feeling that you had this OCD condition that you have?
So as I said in the film, I would leave while doing things just to kind of clean off to feel less stressed. And then as I noticed, it started to cause me more stress, and it became less of a stress reliever than a stress creator. And that's when I started to realize.
Mm-hmm. And what made you decide to do a film about your condition? Did you kind of like open up to? I mean, most of your classmates knew that you had this condition, or they didn't know.
Not many people knew, and what happened was I was talking with my teacher, and she said her son goes through a similar experience, and how there's a lot of things that he struggles that no one knows about, and so I decided to shed light to those struggles that me and people like me go through every day.
And did you have trouble getting other students help you do this video?
No, it wasn't that hard to actually get help, because we had one other main camera person that helped us, and he's another student, and he was all for it. He was excited to do it. And then we had, I think, about 2 other people that really helped, and they did very minor things, but they still helped. But overall, it was a small crew, and anyone on it was very dedicated to the project.
And what year are you, Jacob?
I'm a junior in high school.
Junior. And of course, we know that Millis has we know Danielle Mannion, your mentor, the media teacher there at Millis High School. And you've taken some media courses there from Danielle?
Yes, this is my 2nd year taking a class with Miss Mannion.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any aspirations? I know we saw you boxing and doing martial arts in the film. Do you have any aspirations in that area, or filmmaking?
A little bit of both, actually. What I want to do with life is as I want to do stunts and stunt choreography and stuff like that in movies. So a lot of that incorporates a lot of the filmmaking as well as the martial arts.
Well, very good. Well, thank you, Jacob, and thank you for your film, Can't Touch This.
I grew up in Malden for maybe I was there for like first few years of my life, but most of my time I was here in Billerica. And my great-grandparents are actually the first blacks to settle in this town. And my grandmother was actually the first black that graduated from the Billerica school system. After graduating from high school, I decided I wanted to go to college, so I was accepted at Berklee College of Music. So I went there and graduated. And the funny thing was, at the time, there weren't that many women going to the school. There was only like 7 or 8 of us who graduated in the class. I think there was like 100 kids who graduated in the whole class. After I graduated from Berklee, I taught piano for a while. I taught private piano. And I ended up teaching school there. Sometimes I feel like a preacher. The discipline problem was hard. Some of them, had a bad family life, Now here are the school rules. Quiet is your hand, no gum, sit down. And then I ended up going to school to get my certification to teach. And then later on, then I came out with an album. So right now I have like 2 albums out. I consider myself more like an experimental person because I compose something depending on what mood I'm in, and sometimes it might come out one way, or sometimes it might come out another way. So I would consider myself an experimentalist. I was able to quiet a gig on the Jimmy Kimmel show. They call you up, right? And they'll say, "Oh, we're interested in your music, blah, 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 blah," right? So I said, "Oh, really?" And they said, "Yeah." And then it ended up that they called me back again. They said, "Oh, send out some CDs." So I sent out some CD, right? But then I haven't heard from her for a year. Then all of a sudden, she called me back and she said, "You're going to be on the show tomorrow." So afterwards, and then she said, "We have all your reservations, download it, da. So anyway, so I did. So they flew me out like around 8 o'clock in the morning. So I went out there. Yeah. So I didn't last too long in California. I toured France. Oh, here it is. It's me here, written in French. This is all the people I played on tour with. We went as a group, this guy and this group, man and a woman, and I went to Belgium and Netherlands, and Netherlands is beautiful. And then we went to France. We went to one area where we stayed at a castle. I guess it was just there, and somebody bought it. Some guy from England and his wife. So they had a little restaurant downstairs. That's where we performed at. We stayed overnight at the castle, and it was in a little village between the Pyrenees Mountains. Yeah, it was really beautiful. In Canada, da-da-dee-da-da-da. In Canada, da-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. A lot of people say, "Oh, all you think is Canada, Canada, Canada." It's a province. Well, the reason why is because my grandmother is Canadian, so I'm a quadroon. Canada.
Why the keyboard?
Why not? America, a place where you can be. You go from north to south, and it goes from sea to sea. America.
And that was The Experimentalist. And I have the 3 filmmakers with me, and I'm going to reach over to the back here and ask you to say your name for me.
Patrick Buthelette.
Yes, Patrick. And?
Ashley Pitchford.
Ashley.
Isabella Pacina.
Isabella. Now, let me ask you, how did the 3 of you get to know, is it B.J. Snowden?
Yeah.
How did you get to know B.J. Snowden?
She was a substitute teacher at the high school, and I know for Patrick and I don't know about you, she was the elementary school music teacher for our elementary school, and so Patrick, she's a very interesting woman, so Patrick decided that we should try and get in contact with her to.
Yeah. Now, was she still a teacher, Patrick, when you decided to do this video?
No, she's not a teacher anymore. I think she retired from that.
Okay. And so how did you approach her and say, what did you say when you asked her to do this film?
We sent her an email, and then we asked her if she'd mind being in a video for us, because we found her music enjoyable, and we remember really fond memories of her as a substitute teacher, so we figured that we'd try and reach out to her.
Okay, great. Now, what part did you, the trio of you, what part did you take in this production? How about you?
I took a lot of the camera work, I guess, for the most part, and asking her a lot of the questions and a lot of the speaking between us.
Right. And now, was that done at her home? That looks like her
Yeah.
living room,
Yeah.
right? Did you enjoy her singing?
Yeah.
She's quite a character, isn't she?
It was a lot of fun
Yeah.
listening to all of her songs. So.
And it looked like she had some photo albums of her various gigs in France and in Europe. How was that?
It was good. She showed us all of like her pictures that she kept from the people she met and the places she'd been, and she just had so many pictures, and it was really good to be able to see all of them.
So what was the most fun part of doing this this documentary?
I think just talking to her and learning about her life experiences, because there's so much more to her than just her being a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
So she had such an interesting life to tell, and that no one really knows about. So.
Yeah. Do you feel that you got the end product? Was it what you were looking for?
Yeah, yep. I definitely think so. We had so much footage to choose from, so I thought we were able to.
And Bill Ricca has a regular course curriculum in media. That these are media courses that you can take at the high school.
Yeah, we're in a TV and video production class, which is what we did this documentary for, and then for the seniors we have media classes. So we get it for both of them. This was the documentary we did for our TV and video production class.
Well, you did a very good job. Congratulations. That was The Experimentalist and the students from Bill Ricca High School. Thank you very much.
We had been talking about the movement for a while, for a year or so since it started, and I think it was the death of Sandra Bland in Texas that sort of put us over the edge and said, we need to do something, and put up a sign in September. About 3 weeks in, we got a complaint from the zoning commissioner in town, John Minty, saying that a neighbor had hired a lawyer, and the neighbor wanted to be anonymous, but had hired a lawyer to notify the town that we were in violation of a zoning bylaw, that we had put the sign in between the fence and the sidewalk, which was part of the public right-of-way, and that there were bylaws saying that people could only post political or ideological signs for no more than 2 weeks in the public right-of-way. We was told that we had to either move the sign back so that it was rested fully on our property, which would be behind the fence and less visible on the street, or we'd be in violation and they'd confiscate our sign. So we did move it back, and then I wrote I sort of had a lot of feelings about it, and I live in a mixed race family. My husband's white, I'm Asian, my daughter's African American, my son's Latino, and so the sign sort of meant a lot. And there was a lot of media attention after I wrote a letter to my neighbor, just expressing some of my thoughts and feelings and asking some questions of his motives. And it was a really great response, you know. And so what happened was one of the churches in town, a couple of churches put up signs and did some sermons and whatnot, but one of the churches in town, First Parish down in the center of town, actually invited us to come speak with their congregation. And we did, and as a result, they ended up ordering about 200 signs, and they went out into the community pretty quickly. And so now there's a couple of dozen in our neighborhood alone, and my kids walk to school with 1 block, and they pass about 12 signs on the way to and from school every day. So it's been a really positive outcome. It's been really exciting to hear that the conversations are still happening, and that there's actually movement in this fairly homogenous white town, you know. On the surface, very liberal-minded, and then there's this sort of very conservative aspect just under the surface. If white communities are not talking about it, things aren't going to get better. I think that's the issue. I think it's people who have the privilege and the power in society, which when we're talking about race is the white population. If they aren't willing to make changes and help everyone have access to the opportunities that they have, then things will not change.
And that was Black Lives Matter. And I'm here with
Haley McMorrow.
And Haley, you're at which high school?
Concord Carlisle.
Concord Carlisle. So what gave you the idea to do a video on Black Lives Matter?
Well, I'd seen the signs like around town and at the churches, and I wanted to get to know more about the issue. And then my film teacher gave us a project to do a documentary, actually with the intent to enter it here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it would be a really good project, especially when I found out that Mr. Cole, the man I interviewed, used to teach at CCHS.
Okay, so Mr. Cole was the family member that spoke?
Yes.
Now, how did it feel when you went up to his house and knocked on the door and said, "I'd like to make a documentary about you"? Was he receptive to it, or what was his reaction to your request?
So first I emailed him, and he's close with my film teacher too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little tricky getting the logistics together, but he was very open to it. He runs a blog, and he wrote the open letter to the community, so he's very interested in getting the issue talked about, and so he was receptive.
Yeah. And what year are you in school?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore. And
Yeah.
And so obviously from what you've said, you have Concord has a regular media curriculum.
Yes.
And you've taken some courses in the curriculum?
Yes, I took the introductory course last year,
Mhm.
and this year I'm in the full year advanced
All right.
one.
And so give a shout out to your teacher. Who's your teacher?
Mr. Gooder.
Mr. Gooder, okay. Now, did you what kind of reaction did you have? Did you approach this with any trepidation, or what was your expected outcome? What did you think would be the end result of this?
Well, I really wanted to get the issue out there too, especially in Concord, like a conservative community.
Mhm.
I was a little nervous approaching it because I know it's a controversial topic. So.
Right. Okay. So, and now, do you intend to go on with media? Is this something that interests you as a career, or something you want to follow in high school?
Yeah, it's something I'd love to explore more and do more of.
All right. Well, very, very good. Thank you very much for chatting with us. And that was Black Lives Matter.
So we've been getting ready for the last couple of weeks. Preparation includes getting tags, getting a couple 100 pounds of chum, outfitting the boat with all the equipment we'll need for the day, from safety gear to actual fishing gear. And
my name is Ryan Godfrey. I'm a senior at the Governor's Academy, and we're out here trying to get some sharks.
My name's Elise Bergman, and I'm out here on a boat trying to tag some sharks.
What's the purpose of tagging sharks?
Just to find out like what they're doing.
40 miles east of Boston, on the east side of Stellwagen Bank, which is a National Marine Sanctuary. Normally a good spot for sharks, but there was a big tropical storm left over from a hurricane came through last week that's kind of messed up the waters a lot, so there's a lot of unusual seaweed around right now that came in from the Gulf Stream. To catch a shark, you want to subdue it to get it calm and quiet and tired. And so after you tire it out, you bring it to the boat and you place a tag, and it's just aft of its dorsal fin and the top of the back usually. And then once you do that, we have a tool for taking the hook out of its mouth. And so we'll try and get the hook out of its mouth most of the time. Unless the hook's very deep, we can usually get it out of its mouth pretty well. And then get the hook out of its mouth. You got to measure it. You got to figure out whether it's a male or female, which means looking at the bottom of it. And then we'll release it and send it on its way. Last year we tagged a mako with a class, which is really hard to do because they're so hard to control. They're hard to tag.
They can jump that high.
Yeah, they can jump 15 feet out of the water, and they do head over tail somersaults like this in midair. And so they just kind of, as soon as you hook a mako, you start the motors and get away from it because you don't want to be anywhere near it when it goes off. Because as soon as it feels that hook, it goes crazy, and then you almost always go airborne. And so we generally try and get away from them. They'll jump a few times, and then they come over and they swim by the boat and they come and check you out. And they'll swim right up to the boat and check you out, and then they go fight you for a while. And then that's kind of how the fight is. They jump a few times, they come and check you out, they come right by the boat and roll over and look at you, and then they go fight you for a while. And then if you win, you get them and tag them and whatever. But
So right now we have 2 lines set up with the balloons dragging behind. Each one's a different distance, and we have 2 ropes filled with buckets of chum that are on the sides of the boat that are giving us a nice chum slick going behind us. So
now you can see the slick forming. So he's got a little bit of a turn to the left end where that bird. See where that bird is back there? He's sitting in the slick, and then the slick kind of bends a little to the right, and then it comes right to the boat. That's the thing, that any shark that hits that slick from either direction, so it's like a giant fence you're stretching out behind you, any shark that hits the fence will come to the boat, which is the system that we're using to attract them essentially.
Well, we're hoping to either get like a great white or a mako. Those are probably the 2 coolest species that we'd catch.
Nowadays, with so few makos left, we're not taking any. We don't take any makos home. Even with clients, we're just like, no, we're tagging and letting them all go because there's just not that many around anymore. And the makos here, like that's a small one, 250. We don't see them much under 250 around here. All the makos are big in this part of the world because the water's so cold. They have to have remember they're warm-blooded sharks, so they can handle cold water, but the little ones don't handle as well. So you get, you don't see anything less than 250. And we see a lot that are sort of 600, 800 pounds. So they're really, really big ones that are just a handful.
Gonna be straight up honest. If I see a fin coming this way, I'm probably gonna shit my pants.
Most of the fish that we tag get caught over off of Europe, mostly off of Portugal and Spain. And so they migrate back and forth across the Atlantic in the winter. And they spend their summers here and they spend their winters over there. And so it allows us to understand the path that they travel in, where they're intersecting with humans, where they're mostly getting caught. Most of our fish end up on long lines. And so they're a bycatch. They're not a targeted species, they're just a bycatch. And unfortunately, sharks don't do well on long lines. They generally drown on a long line. They can't get enough air, so they asphyxiate. And so most of the sharks die on these long lines as a non-targeted, no food value bycatch. It's just a waste of a species, and that's kind of a shame.
Dude, what's right here? Oh my! Is that a shark? Dude, it's right here! Oh, video! Oh, this is so cool. This is all I wanted!
And that was Chasing Sharks. And with me I have
Jessica Swindell.
Yes, I recognize you from the video. Now, Jessica, tell us how did it come about that you got on this group that was going out? Was this a school project or something that you were doing outside of school? Tell us about that.
So at my school, the Governor's Academy, there's a marine bio class that is involved in tagging sharks. So they take a trip, a day-long trip during a school day. Mr. Peary, who's the teacher of marine bio, figures out which day is best to go, and they head out usually in September. And in class, they've been learning a lot about how to tag sharks. And my documentary class just started this year, so we got the opportunity to go on a boat and kind of follow the shark tagging boat and get some great footage with them.
Yeah. So you had an opportunity actually to make use of the experience you had in your video making class, in your documentary class, and also in the biology class as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, how many students went on the trip?
There was probably 8 students on the boat with Mr. Peary for the tagging sharks, and then on a separate boat was 2 students filming, and then on a different day we had a trip go out with a couple film students on the actual boat. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, how many times did you go out and tag sharks?
I went out 1 time, and there were 3 trips that went out.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm interested. The underwater footage, was that done like with a GoPro, an underwater GoPro?
Yeah, that was
camera?
done with a GoPro.
Right. And now, tell us about the filmmaking course or the documentary course at the high school. Who teaches that, and how many courses have you taken?
So this is my first year doing anything related to documentary and filmmaking. I was a photography student for the past 2 years in high school. And so my teacher is Mr. Brace, and he's the film teacher at the Governor's Academy. And this course is a new course this year. We actually had an anonymous donor donate to our school, so we were able to start up this course. And I don't know if you're aware of Mark Davis, who's in the documentary industry, so he's come into our class a couple times to talk to us about making documentaries. So the class has been a bit experimental with all the students going out and shooting things around school. We got a drone that we can use on campus, and then people are making projects around campus and then outside of school on their own time. So this was one of the projects that I started with this year.
Mm-hmm. And what year are you, Jessica?
I'm a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm. And is this something that you might want to continue in college or as a career?
Yeah, definitely something I would want to continue in college. I've never been that artistically talented in drawing, studio art kind of things, but once I started photography, I realized I really like being behind the camera, and so this is my first exposure to documentary making, but it's definitely something that I've realized this year that I really enjoy.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Jessica, congratulations, and that was Chasing Sharks.
When's like the first time you met your dad?
The first time I actually met him was when I was 13, I think. My whole life he's been in and out of jail, like forever, since I was born. When I was born, he was actually in jail. Whenever he calls, I'll see the number on the phone, and before I can even answer the phone, I kind of have a mental breakdown. I don't know, I feel like I can't talk very well right now. I guess it makes me sad because he acts like everything is okay. I don't think I can do this.
Okay.
Dear Father, in the prompt for this letter, it started with Dear Dad. But that sounded too comfortable, and comfortable definitely isn't something I am with you. When I met you for the first and only time, I wasn't comfortable. There was no reason I should have been. You aren't present my whole life, then all of a sudden you might die, so I get flown across the country to stay with the half of my family I've never known. As far as I was concerned, I didn't have a father. I don't have a father. I go to friends' houses, and I'm shocked to see their actual biological father there in the same house interacting with the family. When I'm around other people's fathers, I don't know how to act. Should I laugh? Smile? Am I supposed to be quiet? I find myself acting strangely. Like I'm trying to prove that I'm strong and capable, or even sometimes disgusted. This isn't even around just fathers, it's extended to everyone that's a male. I've gotten comments from cousins saying that I look uncomfortable just sitting next to my uncle or grandfather. I blame all of this on you. It is your fault, but I don't want you to fix it. I want the opposite. I want you to leave me alone. I want you to stop calling me every couple of months trying to catch up with me. Stop saying you're going to try harder. You've been saying it for years. It's not going to happen. Stop telling your family and friends about me. Stop acting proud of me. You've done nothing for me. You have no right to be proud of me. Anything I've done myself with no connection at all to you. Stop calling me your daughter. Sincerely, I'm fine without a father.
And that was I Don't Need You. Now, that was absolutely astounding work. And I am here with?
Alyssa Biguero.
And you are with?
Raw Artworks.
Raw Artworks. And I asked you earlier now, you go to high school. This is not the high school you go to, but this is an after-school program. Where do you go to high school?
I go to Lynn English High School.
Lynn English High School. I have to admit that this was a very, very powerful piece. Very emotional, and is it Julianne, the girl that? So how did you approach Julianne, or how did you get the idea to do this show about Julianne? She must be a good friend of yours.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that. How did it come together?
I remember like during the summer I was thinking one day of like she would talk to me every now and then about how like her dad would like communicate with her like on Facebook or something, and like she wouldn't know how to respond, and like it would give her like anxiety and stuff, and then I thought like I wanted to learn more about like what's it like to be a fatherless child.
Yeah.
And
so how did you talk her into do? I noticed you did it so well that she was a little bit apprehensive about doing this, and you had to kind of keep after her. How was that? How did that work? It probably wasn't something she was too comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I asked her if I could interview her about what it was like growing up without a father, and during the interview she couldn't do it. She just like broke down.
Yeah.
So I asked her if I gave her a prompt, and if she could like write a letter about it, and she did, and yeah, she let me use it.
Now, was this the first time that she had ever made those emotional words or said those emotional words about her father in a relationship with her father, or had she expressed that before?
No, this was her first time.
Wow. Now, whose idea? I love the idea of the little boat and the kite and the letter. Whose idea was that?
One of my film instructors, Patrick, he helped me come up with that and stuff about like letting go and like building a boat and stuff.
Very, very powerful. Very good stuff. Now, you, what year are you in school?
I'm a senior. A
senior. Now, is this something that you intend to continue in college or as a career, Alyssa?
I hope so. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it was very well done. You really drew out a lot of emotion from the audience. For me, it was one of my one or two favorite videos of the competition. I want to congratulate you on a job well done, Alyssa.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I Don't Need You, and the top video in this year's Salem Students Documentary Film Festival.
You look at me now and you say, He looks like an average high schooler. He looks happy, he looks like his life's been good, but behind the curtain, I was a mess. My name is Tim Swift. When I was in 8th grade, my older sister and I were going to school, and a red Honda Civic blows through their red light, and we end up T-boning them. My head hit the dashboard and then came back and hit the window. I remember one specific thing, my older sister screaming.
I remember there was coffee all over us and hot chocolate all over us from the drive, and through the whole process we had tried to reach our parents, and that was terrifying, not being able to reach them.
We don't end up going to school that day, and I have hockey practice that night. I got onto the ice, something just wasn't right. I started to get this really, really bad headache. Light was extremely bothersome. Sound really bothered me. I ended up going to my pediatrician. She diagnosed me with a concussion, and she told me, just take it easy until your symptoms stop. So I had a really hard time talking. I knew what I wanted to say, but I had a very, very hard time getting the words out. It's about a month now after the accident. They threw drugs at it to try to get the pain to go down. And I was stuck in my upstairs living room, no contact from anybody. None of my friends talked to me. None of them asked me how I was doing. It was very lonely and very depressing.
Seeing him going from a very active, kind of carefree kid to one that was miserable and didn't want to do anything was hard.
I would hear my sisters come home from school. They got their report card, or they got a test back and they got an A. And you know, my parents would talk to them about how proud they were they got a good grade. It was hard because I wanted to show them that I could do stuff. I didn't feel like I was making my parents proud. I felt that, you know, I was just a bum on the couch. I met with another group, and they did a brain mapping. They were able to determine that I suffered a traumatic brain injury. Just in seconds, playing sports and being with friends and Boy Scouts, all of that type of stuff just got ripped from my life. It was a lot for being 14. I've been out of school, missing homework, and haven't gotten anything to work on. They're like, well, why can't you go to school? Because I looked normal, I looked fine. No one wanted to know how I was feeling or what I was actually going through. People never asked me what I needed. By the end of my freshman year of high school, I had missed 150 days of school. My mom ended up finding a procedure and my pain stopped. It was gone the next day. I let the school know. I told them that we need to try to work on getting me caught up, because at this point I have 0 credits going into sophomore year. And I get put into 2 maths, I'm in 1 English, I'm in 2 histories. From not being able to do anything, getting right into it took a huge toll on me. I started feeling extremely tired. I missed school, and they take me out of my core classes and put me into a program called credit recovery. I ended up finishing all my classes that I need to do for that year. And now it's in my senior year, and I'm doing more extracurricular activities. I'm a part of now my high school's drama club. I'm now back into Boy Scouts, working on getting my Eagle, and I'm hoping to graduate this year. Right now, I feel awesome. I feel almost 100%. I still get tired and I still get exhausted sometimes. Yes, I had to go through 4 years of torment and 4 years of just crap to get to this point, but I never gave up. I can't be the only person that this situation has happened to with a concussion or a traumatic brain injury, that people didn't understand what they were going through and what they were feeling. And that's a huge personal drive for me to be more successful and to help people and to help myself and to have that life that I didn't have earlier. You don't allow it to control your life, because as soon as you let that happen, you're not going anywhere. You will get somewhere as long as you don't give up.
And that was Finding the Words. Very powerful, very, very thought-provoking. And I am here with Tim Swift. Tim Swift,
Yep.
and you are the fella that that the video was about, and the director and producer of the video. So this took place over about a 4-year period. What made you want to do a documentary, a video about your condition, about your accident, and the results of that?
Well, I am a Boy Scout, so to get your Eagle, you have to do it's called an Eagle Project, and it's something to benefit your community in a nonprofit. And with going through a severe car accident and concussion, and just the way that I was treated and stuff, to me it was a huge problem, and I wanted to get the word out about concussions and how to help other kids get over this kind of life-changing experience. And that's what I wanted to do for my Eagle Project. So.
All right. Now, before we talk any further, I want to introduce I guess this is the crew. So tell me your name and what part you had in the production of this video.
I'm Connor Murphy. I was the editor for the video.
Okay.
I'm Tori Thompson, and I also edited.
Okay.
I'm Matt Smith, and I did camera.
And
I'm Stefan Jandersevitz. I was the assistant director and another cameraman.
And I noticed that you work with PBD Access Television on producing this video. So how is it that your relationship with PBD Access started, Tim?
Well, I started at PAT as an intern in my sophomore year, and I ended up taking a college course, so I had to stop participating in that internship. But once I came up with the idea for the video, I knew that these were the people that I wanted to go to, because not only are they amazing at what they do, they really stand by you and are wholeheartedly in it to help you in whatever you need. So, and I also worked with everybody on this crew before, and I knew that they were the people that I wanted to go to.
Now, did you have any trepidations about what the final outcome would be, or did the final outcome kind of match your expectations, Tim?
Well, I'm a perfectionist, and when I do something, I want it to be the best quality that I can put forth, and getting it to that professional level is what I was striving for. So I knew, and the outcome is kind of what I was hoping for, and it has definitely exceeded my expectations on the quality of work. So.
Well, I'm going to ask your editors. Is he a perfectionist?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And did he have a lot of suggestions about the final product?
He was constantly like tweaking little things, and we had to make a lot of little changes to finally get it to the amazing quality that I think it turned out as.
Yeah. So did you have any when you started this? Did you feel a little self-conscious about putting yourself out there and kind of your story? I mean, this took place, you were going into the 9th grade when this accident happened, or just as you were going into the 9th grade?
So the car accident happened when I was in 8th grade. It was in January of 8th grade. So starting wanting to do the video, I wasn't nervous more so, or I was more, I want this to be good, and I don't know if me being in it, if I'm that great of an actor or great of an interviewee. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but once I got in front of it, it felt natural, and with my crew, it was like being with friends. So.
Yeah. And these days, do you have any repercussions? Obviously you don't play any contact sports, no more hockey or anything like that, but you are into other. It showed here you're in drama now.
Yep. So because of the car accident, I can no longer play hockey, which was a huge part of my life. Other repercussions is I have a pretty big fear of driving, so I don't have my permit or my license, so that's really hard. And the other thing is with school, like my GPA isn't, it doesn't match what my level of intelligence is, and so that's really difficult to portray to people. But doing this video, that's what I wanted to get across, is that I look normal, but there's something underneath that. Yeah. Really needs to get out. So.
Well, Tim and the rest of the crew that worked on this production, congratulations. Finding the Words, which is the 2nd place finisher in this year's Salem Student Documentary Film Fest. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that was Hot Sand Dance. And I'm here with
Clara Ingersoll.
And Clara, that was very well done. And you're a student at Cambridge Ringen Latin High School?
Yes.
And what year are you?
I'm a senior, so 2016.
You'll be graduating in June, right?
Yeah, it's coming up.
So now, does Cambridge Ringen Latin offer media courses as part of their curriculum?
Yeah, so we have part of the RISTA program, which is the technical arts. We have a whole actually building across the street from our main campus called the Media Arts Studio, and that's where all of our media arts classes are taught. We have a wide range of classes. I was in a class called experimental media, so that's kind of why my film had that. That class allowed me to explore more experimental film techniques, which is why my film was more experimental.
Right. Now, Claire, let me ask you this. Now, did you know the people at this glass blowing factory? Tell us what is this place that you were at taking this video?
Yeah, so we had an assignment to explore glass blowing in any way that we wanted, any way that felt compelling to us. So I decided to explore the movement of glass blowing, and I wanted to kind of go deep into that and dramatize that and just see where I went with that. So we went to a couple different glass blowing studios in Cambridge. We went to the MIT Glass Lab, which wasn't actually featured in the film, but we got some footage there. We also went to the North Cambridge School of Glass Blowing, which is where my film takes place, and we just we tried a bunch of different things. We did some interviewing. Different students in my class did more kind of formal, informative pieces, maybe on the science of glass blowing or how you make different colors in glass blowing, the complex kind of scientific processes, but I wanted to really focus in on showing the movement, and so I took the footage from the North Cambridge Glass Blowing School, which I had never been to before. I'd seen the outside, but didn't know what it was. So I went with that.
Now you took a chance because I noticed that there was no dialogue and no voiceover, and you simply did it with editing the footage, and you took a chance doing that. And so what was your idea there?
Yeah, I guess just kind of what I said before about trying to focus on the movement, trying to kind of use that and make that the center of attention. So you know, if there's a voice that might take away from the movement because then you're listening to something else and your mind is wandering. And I think that glass blowing is almost it is almost kind of musical, but it is also almost like a dance because it's so choreographed and you have to be so careful. You know, if you move too fast one way or hit someone, you could burn them and burn their face off or something. So I think there's beauty and there's also just incredible skill in that. So I wanted to just emphasize that, and definitely didn't want to add my own voice because I don't glass blow.
Well, Claire, I think you really pulled it off. I think you did a phenomenal job in the Hot Sand Dance, and the whole thing just worked together very well. Well, Clara Ingersoll, thank you very much. And Hot Sand Dance was the number 3 place finisher in the film festival, Student Documentary Film Festival this year. Clara, thank you very much, and congratulations. Great job.
Thanks.
All right, so about 3 years ago.
No, I told Scott that he was getting a girl on his football team.
I went, oh, great, you know, it'll be great. And we talked to Dad all the time. But the funny story behind that was, as I'm driving away, and I'm like, we got a pretty good team. I go, last thing I need is a girl on my team.
He thought I was crazy.
But I just said, okay, we'll sign up, let her sign up, but I'll put her against the toughest kids when she comes out. Not to try to make it, we'll see what she's got.
As a father of a daughter on a male team, your first thing is concern. Is she good enough? Will she survive, per se? Will she be able to handle the pressure? As a coach, I thought it was great.
And that's where it started. The first day she shows up, I put her up against one of the toughest kids I got, you know, which is Billy Biggins at that time, you know. And Amanda not only held her own, she did real well.
At first, they didn't know what to think until Amanda knocked one of the biggest guys on the team on his butt. Then the story changed.
And from then on, I would put her against Billy and the better blockers, and she just shined. She became my starting right tackle. She got great hands, great feet. She don't say a lot, but she just was tough as nails. And then she became our kicker. She was kicking 30-yard field goals, kicking off the ball, kicking them deep to the end zone. She was just, she turned out to be a real good ball player. And I always said she could play at the high school level if she wanted to. She just went out there and played. If she was hurt, you'd never know it, you know, because she wouldn't come out and tell you. She just was out there playing, and like I said, she started right tackle. And anyone knows football, right tackle is usually your best blocking position. And she would just pancake kids. She would just, you know what I mean, never said boo, and she just would go out there and do her job. And she was so good at it. And it was just funny, you know, even after the game, you're like, if you get a smile out of her or a hi out of her, you know what I mean? You wouldn't realize it, not that you don't want to sound sexist, that she was a girl. She was just a football player. And none of the guys, they just never really, they accepted her. So it's pretty cool. They were young, so I think at first they were kind of like, you know, they weren't sure, but they never, from day one, they always accepted her. You know what I mean? Kids are different now. I think like if they were older, they might not have accepted her, but I think it was like the 5th grade team we were on at the time. They accepted her. They were pretty good, and they knew, you know, from day one she was tough, you know, and she didn't skip a beat, you know. So at least around me, I don't think they showed her any difference. I don't think they did, and she didn't show them either. It was just playing football.
The opposing teams, for the most part, most of them, because they don't have any girls on their teams in any of their age groups, thought this was going to be a pushover, and some of them didn't even realize there was a girl on the team.
You know what? Sometimes they wouldn't shake her hand, or like the girl cheer. Like when you're done with the game, the guys all shake hands, and then the cheerleaders shake hands, and the cheerleaders wouldn't shake her hand. And I was just kind of like, I'm like, whatever. It was weak, you know, but, you know, she didn't care. You know what I mean? She might have cared, but she wouldn't tell you, at least tell me. And then we would say something, but to a point where she didn't care. She just wanted to play football with her friends. You know what I mean? That's what's good about it, you know what I mean? So you'd see before the game, she's throwing you, if you were watching, or she was playing catch with the guys, but she was just one of the guys, you know what I mean? Nobody treated her any different or any special or whatever. Like I said, if anything, we had to pull the guys back from her because they didn't want to keep getting beat.
Most of them found and realized that Amanda was probably one of the top 3 players we had for the past 2 years.
I want the best players, and if Amanda was, and I know Amanda, if she was one of my best players, I would be big time trying to get her to play, because you get paid to win, you know, especially in high school, and she could do it. I know she could do it. She's a great kid. She'll work hard. She'll never quit on you. And if I had more Amandas, I probably would have won more games. So, bottom line, there's guys that can't do it, and they just don't make it. You know what I mean? So either if you can do it, you got to make it. If you don't, you don't.
They want to do it. They have the heart to do it. Let them do it. The worst thing you can do is keep a child from doing something they want to try to do.
And that was Game Changer. And I am here with
Rebecca Bodwin.
And you are from what high school?
I'm from Hudson High.
Hudson High. So tell us, what gave you the idea of doing this film?
This year I took a TV news class, and as a part of one of our final projects, we had to put together a documentary. And I had a hard time trying to come up with a topic, and then I remembered that my sister had done football for 2 years previously, and my dad thought this could be an awesome thing. So I got him into it, and then I got her coach, which was one of my dad's long friends, into it, and it just sort of became my documentary.
Right. So this is your sister, right? Her name is Kayla?
Amanda.
Amanda, sorry. And so Amanda was the topic. Your sister was the topic of the video, right?
Correct.
And what was her feelings about it? Did she accept this eagerly, or did she say, "Get away from me"?
Well, she hates being on camera. Lately, she's preferred being behind the scenes and doing more filming and directing stuff. So when I approached her about being on it, she was a little timid at first. But when I told her, "Oh, it's just for a class," she's like, "Okay, fine." But when we did the interview, it didn't really work out too well, so she only really ended up in the B-roll. So she was more comfortable with it, and the fact that she had little screen time, but it was still about her, and she enjoyed it.
And how did your dad feel about doing this documentary on his daughter?
He was excited about it because he figured, like, documentaries and filmmaking is something that I've always liked, and football was something that my sister liked. And he was proud of both of us in the same moment, and being able to be a part of that, he enjoyed. And
So is this something, Rebecca, that you want to continue, like as a career, maybe going to college and as a career afterwards?
I mean, I really enjoy it as a hobby, and I would like to, but I'm going to college for engineering instead.
Whoa.
But I'm hoping to continue on with filmmaking as a hobby and progressively get better at that on the side in college.
Wow. Rebecca, thank you very much. And that was Game Changer. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And those were the students that took part in the Cinema Salem documentary student film competition. And I am here with Paul Van Ness, who is the principal of the Cinema Salem and who was the original instigator of this whole endeavor, if you will. And Paul, quite good entries and incredible talent among these young filmmakers, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's very exciting to see the changes that happen every year, where the cameras get a little bit more sophisticated, the filmmaking gets more sophisticated, the editing gets more sophisticated, but especially the level of authenticity and intimacy of the stories, I think, is very impressive.
Right. And this is about the 7th time, I think, that we've done this.
Yep.
You and I are both, I think we had a record number of entries this year, close to 90 entries. Yeah. I would say that being one of the judges, that the quality has gone up. I think overall the quality of the submissions has definitely gone up.
Yeah. I remember one of the reasons we formed this was I was invited to a class. I don't think it was Beverly, but it might have been. And they wanted to show me their films because I'm a filmmaker and give them some advice. And there were really great films there, and I could tell that I was the only person that was going to get a chance to see them besides the people in the class. So it felt like some kind of a format or a showcase that would get different classes like that from different high schools together, and hopefully a wider audience as well. So it really feels like, and the point of that impulse, I think, at the beginning was if you get students seeing each other's films, the films are going to improve. And I'd have to say over the 7 years, we've definitely seen that happen.
Yeah. I've noticed that in the past there have been documentaries about different individuals that were kind of unique individuals in these filmmakers' lives. But lately, and especially this year, there were a lot of personal, kind of personal documentaries. People that have dealt with the obsessive compulsive and the student who had essentially 4 years of his life taken away because of a car accident, and the young girl who couldn't identify with her sexual identity. What do you think that's due to?
Well, society is changing.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, and kids are watching YouTube. There's many voices that are being heard. In the past, it used to be you needed to have a network in order to have your television shown or your show shown on television. But now anybody can have something said, and I think that means that the kind of stories that are told expands, and we can hear perspectives and voices that we hadn't kind of heard before, but also the kind of willingness of people to be honest about what's going on, that the value of that as a society seems to have grown.
Yeah.
So people are, kids are telling these stories that, when I was in high school, nobody would talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
And that feels like real societal progress.
Right. And the kids are so, they're so nuanced in their presentation. It just amazes me that these kids do as well as they do in presenting their stories.
Yeah, and I think some of that is, probably the teachers in the classrooms and talk about what makes a good film. I don't know that students would know that intuitively, although if you watch enough video, you can kind of pick up a lot of it. But I think students talking about things, even the feedback you get on YouTube if you put something up probably helps. And then I think the classroom environment is very important.
Right. Well, Paul Van Ness, thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
And that brings us to an end of another Cinema Salem Student Documentary Film Competition. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the videos.